Let's go ahead and get the, since I think everybody's here today, because class looks full, we're going to go ahead and get the roll, get that taken care of. Kind of helps read those notes on the doors, don't it? All right, Allison, okay. Barnes, Bearden, Cherry, Clark, Chris, Driver, Fields, Fisher, Fox, Fuller, Orville is here, Hull, Kemp, Kraft, Kunkel, Silva, Simmons, Strickland, Warnick, and Weaver. I think he's coming in on Skype. All right. I think I might have got a question from 110. Let's see if I can find it. I only got one, that's why I didn't send it. There it is. Question I got is this question. Okay, now a good indicator for this question is a cube. Which one of your shortcuts has to do with cubes? That's not rhetorical. That means I want y'all to answer the question. Get your shortcuts out. I wrote them down the other day. There's 5 of them, didn't I? Or was that calculus? Did I go over the shortcuts with y'all? Oh, we haven't started. Okay, so today's first. Okay, Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, so this is our first Tuesday. Okay, all right. We're going to go over a lot of intermediate algebra review, and I'll go ahead and start with the shortcuts. So, and reverse FOIL and anything else that I can come up with. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll go there. I thought I went over it in here, but that was the calculus class that I was going over stuff. So forgive me. Sometimes I get my classes mixed up. Okay, a lot of times in algebra, the focus is on two things, either solving for x or factoring. Now, 90% of you know how to factor. But if I asked you what the definition was, you'd be like, I don't know. Well, if you factor 54, 90% of you will say what? 6 times 9. Okay? Of course, there'll be a guy in the back in the corner going, didn't I 27? But most people will go 6 times 9. You have just factored. Factored is breaking up a term into its what? Starts with F. A. Factors. Okay? Remember, there's 2 things. There's factor, and multiply together. That's what? Product. All right? If I ask you to factor something, basically I'm telling you to tear it apart. Now, this leads us to why you need to factor, because nobody's going to ever walk up to you and ask you to factor a number. Nobody. 20 years from now, when you're making your fortune in your career, nobody is going to walk up to you and ask you to factor. Then why do you have to learn it? Well, if you ever want to be a person that can solve problems, the first thing you have to do to a problem is what? Break it up. Break it up into its parts. All right? Whether it's a financial problem, whether it's a human resource problem, whether it's a mechanical problem, whether it's an electrical problem, or whether it's whatever kind of problem. The first thing you do when something's not going right is find the problem and break it up into its parts, look at each part, figure out where the problem is, and then put it what? Back together. Some of you that have mechanical backgrounds know what I'm talking about. Have you ever worked on the brakes of a car? Okay, if you ever worked on the drum brakes of a car, you have to take the tire off, then you have to take the hub off. Sometimes the hub won't stick because the brakes are extended. So you have to get in there and turn the brakes until they're loose. Then you have to take the hub off. Then after you take the hub off, you have to take the springs off. Then after you take the springs off, you have to take the one cross spring and the bottom cross spring off, and then take the pegs off, and then you can pull the brake shoes off. Now, that's a prime example of taking a problem apart, looking to see where the problem is, and of course, after you take the hub off, the problem is usually a spring that's come off, and it falls out on the ground, and then you say, oh, I know what the problem is. But you have to take it apart to find out what the problem is. Anytime you're solving a problem, you have to take it apart, find the problem, and put it back together. That's why engineers have to go through 15,000 math courses to get their degree. Who in here wants to drive over a bridge designed by a person that's only taken one math course? I don't. Or who in here wants to have a doctor do surgery on them that's only had one math course? Because what does the doctor do? Doctor finds the problem, opens you up, fixes the problem, and then what? Puts you back together. How many in here won't say doctor that only took math 155 back in technical school? Think about that. Okay? Factors. What about here? Well, that problem right there, you can factor out a common. So we've just broken it up into its two factors. Now, like I said, in algebra, there's two things, well, really three things, that are kind of priority. One is solving for x. The other is to factor, and then the other is to graph. Okay, now right now we're starting with factoring because we're in a review mode, and we'll cover the other ones as we come to it. That is a trinomial. A trinomial is made up of two binomials. In order to break it up, there's three things that you can use. One is the reverse FOIL. I never say OIL. I never pronounce that word because there's always some smart ass in the group that says I'm not pronouncing it correct. Same thing with CLEMSON. So I don't pronounce that either. Okay? Because there's always one rule in life. No matter where you work, no matter in the family, no matter in the classroom. There's always one. There's always one that's either perfect or wants to be perfect. There's always one that's going to make fun of everything everybody says. There's always one that's going to screw it up for everybody. Always. You're not going to get away from it. How many of you can think of a workplace where there's one person you just like to stab in the throat with a fork? There's always one. Always. Now, the reverse FOIL, the shortcuts. And completing the square. That's basically how you find the x-intercepts, and that's what you're finding. In a trinomial, when you factor, you are finding where that quadratic crosses the x-axis. Okay? You're also expanding it into its two factors. And that is used to find the x-intercept. Now, where does that have a strategy? Any of you going into marketing and business or economics? Oh my. Your whole life is going to be surrounded. Your whole life is going to surround finding where that x-intercept is and where that y-intercept is. Because that's cost versus revenue. Okay? So if any of you are going into the field of marketing or business or management, you might as well get used to the x-intercepts because you're going to see them again. or the y-intercepts. If you're in a science field, then you're going to see it again, because everything in science, whether it's nursing or whether it's medical or whether it's research or whether it's physics or whether it's engineering, you're going to have to find the x and y-intercepts on stress, on on biology, on bacteria count, on carbon dating, on anything, exponential growth of a bacteria, whatever the case may be. You're going to have to find where it peaks out and where it ends, where it's going to get to the highest point and then start coming down, because everything that goes up must what? Come down. So you start off and you come up and you get to a certain point, that's called the vertex, and then you come down and it hits the x-axis. That's where the feasible answer is on the x-intercept. So there's all kinds of applications. No, nobody's ever going to walk up to you at Bilo or Michelin or wherever you're making your career and ask you to factor x squared plus 4x plus 4. Nobody. But are you able to take a problem apart, find the problem, and put it back together? You ever had dunce work at the, anybody, how many of you have worked at Walmart, Target, Bilo, anywhere like that? All right, I worked at Walmart. You don't put the dumbest person on the floor at the service desk. Why? What? Okay, not only do they not know anything, but they don't know how to deal with what? Customers, and they don't know how to deal with people. When you put somebody at the service desk, you want somebody that can sell an Eskimo a heater. Okay? You want somebody that can sell an Eskimo a snowball. You want somebody that can talk to people, not piss them off. You ever met somebody that just piss them off by them saying good morning? I mean, they just piss people off by saying good morning. That's the person you don't want at the service desk. And to be a person of management, be a person that's the boss, you got to think about things like that. Any of you ever been in a retail business where they put the dumbest person mathematically on the cash register? That's not too bright. So, reverse FOIL. Let's go over that first. Let's do a review over that. Now, I teach it a little bit different. I teach it the way that I learned it. So, if you don't like it, then do it your way. 1. Draw 2 sets of what? Well, let me change that. That's number 2. Number 1, always try to factor out a common term. Do not pronounce that. Just factor out a common term. If you factor out a common term, most of the time it will make it easier. Okay? Draw 2 sets of parentheses. Break up first term, starting with 1. Four. Break up last term, starting with 1. 5. Find the combo for middle term. 6. Look at sign of middle term. Okay. Now, all the time you're doing the reverse FOIL, what are you thinking about mentally? Mentally, you should have in your mind the what method? The FOIL method. Okay. Now, because how do you find the middle term with the FOIL method? Do you add them, divide them, subtract them, or multiply them to find the middle term? Huh? So the largest number carries the what? The sign. So remember that. Middle term. Put in parentheses. Largest number carries the what? Sign. 70. Look at sign of last term. How do you get the last term with the FOIL method? Multiply. So that means like signs are what? Like are positive. What are unlike? Unlike are negative. So let's take, for example, the problem x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, I can't factor anything out, so 2 sets parentheses. Break up first term. Well, that's going to be 1x and 1x. There's no other way to get 1 except for 1 times what? 1 times 1. So you can't mess that up. Now, why did I put it there? Because FOIL, F means what? First. So the first and the first. If you want to do the FOIL method, x times x is x squared. Okay? 4. 1 and 4. 2 and 2. 1 and 4, when you add or subtract it, will either give you a 5 or a what? Or a 3. 2 and 2, when you add it or subtract it, you either get a 0 or a what? You get a 0 or a 4. What do we need? 4. So that's going to be a 2 here and a 2 here. This sign means that the largest number has to be positive. So in this case, outside and inside are both the same, so just pick one. Since 2 is the same as 2, so you just make that 2. What does this mean? Like or unlike? Like, so if this is positive, what's this? Positive. So x squared plus 4x plus 4 is factored into x plus 2 times what? X plus 2, or x plus 2 what? I don't know what to put this thing doing down here. X plus 2 quantity squared. And that's how you use the reverse FOIL. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up some trinomials and you're going to knock some cobwebs loose. And hopefully you won't have a brain bubble and like fall down in the floor and start doing funky chicken or anything. So let's go pull up factoring trinomials. A is equal to 1. Let's do a couple of easy ones. Let's do a worksheet. Okay, there's a couple. Of course, I can't blow it up. Maybe I can, but it'll probably distort it. Well, maybe you can see it. Let's do number 4 and number 8. Let's do number 4 and number 8. X squared plus 4x minus 12 and x squared minus 4x plus 24. I'll write them on the board for you. Let me do a transparency. That way you can see it while I write it. So the first one is x squared plus 4x minus 12, and the other one is x squared minus 4x plus 24. Take a minute or two and factor those two trinomials. And if you can't do it, just consider yourself what? A failure. Then maybe you should quit school and live in a ditch. That's a joke. Sense of humor. We're going to start having sense of humor now. Not going to be offended. Damn Russians. No good movies this weekend? How was it? I thought it came out on the 20th.
What comes out this week?
Yeah, I want to go see that this weekend. I want to go see Bye Bye Man too, and Rings. I want to see those.
Patriots Day, you know?
What?
Patriots Day. Mark Wahlberg, Patriots Day.
Yeah, I might go see that. I'm not into those kind of movies, but I like Mark Wahlberg. But I don't like to see idiots blowing up our towns. Well, I know it's about the policemen and all, but I'd rather just see them getting shot. That's what I'd like to see. My son is not supposed to, he's not in school today. He just texted me and I'm saying, why is he texting me? He's not in school today. All right, y'all done? You discouraged and quit yet? Darn. We'll have to get some harder questions to get y'all to quit. Y'all just don't understand. Y'all supposed to quit. Oh, I'm sick of terrible teaching. X and X, 1 and 12, so 2 times 6, 3 times 4, 4 times 3. Now a lot of you are probably saying, yeah, but why do you keep writing that 1 times 6, 1 times 12, and why don't you just start from 3 times 4? Because there are some teachers, let me tell you, there are some teachers that will put every single problem on the test at a factor of 1. And you'll sit there and you'll look at it, and you'll look at it, and you'll look at it, and the first thing you think of is 3 times 4. But they want you to do 1 times 12. Okay? It's very important that you put all the multiples of the last term, not just the ones you know, all of them. Because when you get to that teacher, some people call them essay teachers, smart aleck teachers. They like to put trick questions on the test. You ever have one of those? Or they like to put questions on the test that they've never done in class before. You ever had one of those? Those type of teachers, they love to put those 1s on there. Okay? Which would mean that the middle term would be a 13 or a what? 11. That's why the middle term is so important. The trick of the reverse FLIL method is the middle term. That's the trick. Because what will 1 times 12 will always give you? What will 2 times 6 always give you? What will 3 times 4 always give you? 12. You won't mess that up. That's the trick. So you go over here and you say 12 and 1 will give me an 11 or a 13. 6 and 2 will give me an 8 or a what? 4. 3 and 4 will give me a 1 or a what? 7. So which one do we need? We need a 4, right? Middle term, 4. We need a 2 and a what? What does this tell us? The 6 has to be what? What does this tell us? Like or unlike? Unlike, so what's the opposite of positive? That's all there is to it. You'd be surprised on how many people can't do the reverse FOIL method just because they were given some kind of weird rainbow method or weird some kind of method or weird take 2 boxes and put them beside each other and just a bunch of horse cookies. What's it called? Common Core. I call it Common VS. Now I do believe in Common Core like this. 43 times 6. Instead of doing 3 times 6, instead of doing that, 40 times 6 is what? 240 plus 18 is 258. Now that's good Common Core. That's using your brain. 40 times 6 is what? 240, right? And then 3 times 6 is what? 258. To me, that's Common Core. To me, is doing that, adding 11 plus 5. Instead of adding 11 plus 5, you add 10 plus what? 6. Take 1 from the 11 and add it to the 5. To me, that's using common thinking, using common sense. But this stuff they're doing now, I don't even know what they're doing now. It's stupid. But they can't all be perfect like me. Anyway, let's do this one. X and X. That's supposed to be a joke, okay? Who thinks he's perfect? Yeah, I really think I'm perfect. All right, 1 and 24. 2, 12. 3, 8. 4, 6. 5, 6. 1 and 24 will give us a 25 or a what? 25 or a 23. 12 and 2 will give us a what? A 10 or a what? 14. 3 and 8 will give us an 11 or a 5. 4 and 6 will give us a 2 or a what? 10. Which one do we need? Huh?
No.
I thought I had 4. I'm looking for it. Where is it? Huh? Okay, so it's prime. I didn't mean to pick a prime. All right, there's no 4 over here. So you see, there's no 4 here. There's no 4 here. There's no 4 here. And there's no 4 here. So this is prime. It means it does not have a type. I didn't mean to pick that one. Okay? Now, let's move on where A is not equal to 0. If A is not equal to 1, and your head will explode then. Okay? Those are the ones that people put on the test. Because these are pretty much easy. All of you should be saying, yeah, I remember those. Those are pretty easy. Well, now we're going to do the ones that are not so easy. To me, it's easier just to Google stuff than it is to look it up on the book for that person that's going to complain about it. Always one. I took a whole class to eat Mexican one day. I just didn't feel like teaching. So it was like 6 or 8 people. Sometimes I buy food. Did I ever buy food for you? I went through your class. Probably didn't like y'all. Did I buy anything for y'all's class? Trying to think if anybody else in here had any. Miss Simmons, did I buy anything? No, I didn't buy anything for your class, did I? Yeah. Well, anyway, there was like one class I had with like 7 or 8 people, and I said, look, instead of class today, anybody that wants to go, I'm gonna take y'all out to eat for lunch. And we went to El Railroad's down here on 24. Before I even got there, I got a phone call. My department head, what are you doing canceling class? I said, I'm not canceling class. I just didn't feel like teaching. I took class lunch. One person called to complain. You figure it out. Why would you complain about somebody taking you out to lunch? What? Well, there's always one. Always one. Okay, I need to clear this, and we're going to pull up one of these. Let's see what this one has. There we go. There we go. Let's do something simple with a prime number. 3x squared minus 37x plus 44. 3x squared minus 37x plus 44. Now I'm lost. Where'd it go? There's 3x squared minus 37x plus 44. Now there's nothing in common, so you can't factor out anything. So now the good thing about this, for those that are knocking the cobwebs loose, this guy is what? What is 3? Prime number. So nobody can mess that up. What is 3? 1 times what? So you can't mess that one up. Now we're going to look and see. Now, well, Hubert, do you do this the same way? No. What I tell students is when you're doing one where A is not equal to 1, when A is not equal to 1, take your handy dandy outside and inside, and you mark it like that, because that's the trick. The outside and inside gives you the what? Middle term. So you've got to think in terms of outside plus inside. So instead of doing the 1 and 12 will give you 13 and 11, 3 times 4 will give you 7 or 1. Instead of doing that, I suggest you do this. Okay? And then put your multiples, 1, 44, 2, and 1. 22, 3, 4, and 11. And I think that's it. Okay? And I'm going to start off with this right here. I'm just going to just arbitrarily start with, you can start with 1 and 44 if you want to. And then we'll do outside and inside in here. Outside is 11 and 12. What will 11 and 12 give us? Well, 11 and 12 will give us a 1, and it'll give us a what? 11 plus 12, 23. What do we need in the middle? So 4 and 11 will not work in this order, but what can I do with it? Flip it. So I take my eraser, erase that one, and that one, and put a 4 here. Oh, I'm sorry. Put an 11 here, and a 4 here. Now what's 33 times 11? I'm sorry. What's 3 times 11? And what's 33 and 4? 33 and 4 will give me a 29 or what? This is a miracle. 37. So you take your handy dandy eraser, and you put a big 11 here, and you put a big 4 here. What's the middle term? So which one's bigger, 33 or 4? Huh? So this negative. What does this mean, like or unlike? Huh? Like. And you're done. So your answer is x minus 11 3x minus 4. And it should be, we'll figure out. Look at there, this is your. All right, you try 3. 5x squared minus 9x minus 2. All right, y'all do that one. You got 2 prime numbers, so it should be easy. I see where GM and Hyundai are coming back to the United States. Going to Detroit.
Another billion per, I think.
I kind of like it when jobs come back to the United States. That way people can get insurance and get out of poverty, and pretty good when things like that happen.
It's Chinese, they're rolling in. Yeah, they're a piece of good jobs now.
I hope.
I'm talking engineering.
Oh, yeah.
Those kind of things.
You're going to start seeing a lot of things coming back. But, damn Russians. Damn Comey. FBI director is all his fault. And, of course, it's always Bush's fault. All right. So here we go. Y'all can't mess these up. Well, not as bad as that one, but this one, 1x and 5x. Take my handy dandy green marker. Now, the reason I'm doing this green marker is there's 2 types of people in here. There's the people that took 102 and they were really good at factoring, and then there's the people that took 101 and 102 and they suck at it. Okay? I looked at that wall and I said it. I didn't look at anybody. Okay? If you suck at it, you need to be putting those lines. Okay? Well, I don't really think I suck at it. Do you get all of them right? No. Then you suck at it. Simple as that. Sorry, cupcakes. All right, so over here, 1 and 2. I ain't got to worry about that. I just have to worry about the order. So I'm going to put little 1 here and little 2 here. Now, my outside is 2, my inside is 5. What will 5 and 2 give me? 7 or a 3? What do we need? 9 is not 7 or 3. So that means we erase it and we what? Flip it. Put your 2 here and your 1 here. 1 and 6. I'm sorry. 1 and 2 times 5 is 10. Woo! I had 6 on my brain. 1 and 10 will give you a 11 or what? That's what we need. 9. It's a miracle. So we put a big 2 here, and we put a big 1 here. This is negative. So which one's bigger, 10 or 1? And what does this mean? Unlike. So if this is negative, this has got to be negative. Now tell me what's hard about that. You do those 2, I showed you 2 methods. One is do the 1 and the 12 and the 11, and then the other one is draw the 2 lines. There's nothing hard about that. Now, if you suck at it, then you need to go home and do 10 or 15 of these. Well, I don't know where they are. They're in your book, or they're, I just Googled. Google that page right there. Okay? I don't know what I called it. Thank you. You were paying attention. I didn't know you were the one that was paying attention. Okay. Let me see. Ah, horse puppy. I done been hacked by the Russians. factoring trinomials a not equal to 1. That's all you have to do, and you can get all the worksheets you want to. Type in PDF behind it, and you can get all PDFs. There you go, right there. Print them out. Sometimes they print the dadgum answers, don't they? Sometimes they do. Let's see what this one pulls up. Oh, why? I hate when they do this. Go away. It's a conspiracy. Well, anyway, let's do a nerd. Let's do number 12. 2x squared plus 19x minus 10. 2x squared plus 19x minus 10. Two x squared plus 19x minus 10. The closest thing to playing a musical instrument in algebra is factoring. So any of you that play musical instrument, how do you get good at it? You practice. If you want to suck at it, then you don't practice. The closest thing to a musical instrument in mathematics is factoring. That multiplication tables. I'll do the first one for you. 1x and 2x. There. Kind of hard to screw that up, ain't it? 1 and 10, 2 and what? 5. Pull out my handy dandy green marker. And I'm going to start with 2 and 5 just because I want to. 2 here and a 5 here. What will 5 and 4 give me? Nothing, because I need 19. 5 and 4 will give me a 9 or a 1. So I flip it. 5 and 2. What will 10 and 2 give me? It won't give us 19. It'll give me a 9 or an 11, right? Or, I'm sorry, 10, a 12 or an 8. So what can you say about 5 and 2? They don't work. So that leaves us with 1 and 10. What will 2 and 10 give us? An 8 or a what? 12. So that sucks. How about 10 and 2? I'm sorry, did I do 10 and 1? Sorry. 20 and 1 give us a 21 or a 19. X, 10, 2x, and 1. What does this sign mean? The 20 has to be what? What does this sign mean? Like or unlike? Makes sense? I guarantee you there's one person in here going, I never knew it was that easy. And it's not, it is, it's that easy. But you got to do that same method every single time. Same method. And after you do the first couple of 50 or 100, you're going to start seeing it a whole lot easier, just like you can stretch that thumb with that pinky on the piano a whole lot better after the 5th time that you've played it, or the 100th time that you played it, versus the first time you played it where you were just going like this. It's called, starts with a W. What is it? W-O-R-K, I believe. And algebra and math. You know why a lot of people like to look at algebra and math and science for entry level into college? Because you get out of it what? What you put into it. If you suck at it, then you're going to suck at all your other classes. If you're good at math and science, then you're going to ace pretty much all your other classes. That's why, and they can't say that they do that anymore, but they do. I guarantee you, if you go up to CLEMSON right now, and you put your application in, they're going to say, oh, we're going to look at this, this, and this. And the whole time they're looking down, looking for what? Your math and science grade. But they're not going to say it. Because if you took one math back in the 10th grade and you made an F in it, and you haven't taken any maths in college or anything, you think you're going to get accepted? No. So just remember that. Try to do the best you can in math and science, because that dictates. Now, I'm not saying you have to be an engineer. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you do excel and you do good in math and science, that tells other people that, like, the application to this or application to that you got what it takes to study and practice and make the grade. Okay? All right, now, what if you don't want to do these? Well, there's shortcuts, but the shortcuts only work part of the time. Now, I'm not going to pull them up. I'm going to see if I can. I wish I'd saved them let me see if I can do this. I have to switch. Y'all forgive me. I got so much going on up here, and I'm a male, and you know males can't do 3 things at one time. So you just have to bear with me. Let me go with male. Let me see if that starts them off. Perfect squares. Okay. Here's perfect squares. Go ahead and write those 2 down. That's shortcut number 1 and number 2. Write those 2 down. There's 5 of them. So make sure that you write down all 5 in a certain area. Put a highlight around them, because you need to learn them. Now, I will tell you, if you don't learn these, it's going to plague you from here on out as far as algebra goes. So if you're an engineering student or a science student and you don't learn these 5 shortcuts, you're going to be hating life in calculus. I'm just warning you. You're going to be like, dang, I wish I learned those things when Hubert told me to. That way I wouldn't be a failure. I'm living in a ditch. You can imagine I give my daughter and my son all kind of heck. My daughter said yesterday on Facebook, she said, she's at college of Charleston. I've done decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a history teacher. And I put on there, I said, you're going to quit school and live in a ditch. So said, your dad is mean.
Probably already got your son to calculus anyway.
No, my son, I got him where he can now make a bed out of cardboard so he can live in a ditch. Both of them are real good at cardboard boxes. No, I'm just kidding. It's hard to get students to do good in math, and I'll tell you why. Because you got so many teachers and so many parents telling their kids they can't do math. You've got a lot of peer pressure that's saying math is stupid. You've got a lot of teachers. You got a lot of K through 12, not K through 12, a lot of K through 6 teachers, K through 5, whatever, that are saying math is hard.
I guarantee you, if you taught a 6th grader calculus,
Mm-hmm.
if you learn,
Oh, yeah.
no problem.
Oh, yeah. It's all how you teach it.
If people look at calculus first,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't even.
Oh, yeah. It's true. It's true. Math is, and I'll show you plenty of examples. I guarantee you right now there's somebody in here that's saying, oh my God, I never knew how to do the reverse FOIL method. And I showed you 2 layman's ways, because there's one in every class that says, oh, that's easy. And it's all how it's presented. Now, I'm not perfect by no means. Sometimes I screw it up, all right? But when you remember where you've been, it helps out a lot. And when you suck as an algebra student, and you had to learn the hard way, like backwards and back it in, like I did, it's easier to teach when you had to learn it the hard way. And you remember that, and you remember these little things that help you teach, versus the student that was born an algebra god or goddess, or a math god or goddess, and can't tell you how to get out of a wet paper sack because they don't know how it is to say, I don't understand that. I don't understand the distributive law. I don't know how that is. So it's all about presentation. It is. It's all about presentation. You ever had somebody who couldn't tell you how to get home? I mean, there's a lot of teachers out there like that. But anyway, these are the two shortcuts. This is shortcut number 1. And that's what I call it. I call it shortcut number 1. And this is shortcut number 2. I don't call it binomial squares. I don't call it shortcut number 1, shortcut number 2. All right, let's go with shortcut number 3. Shortcut number 3 is called the difference of two squares. Please work with me. Please, I appreciate it. There we go. And I'll go up here. Difference of two. All right, where are you? There we go. So there's shortcuts 1, 2, and 3. And you can use A and B. A plus B times A minus B is equal to A squared minus B squared. Or you put the X's in there, it doesn't matter. Just make them all the same. Either all X's and Y's or all A's and B's. That's shortcut number 3. And I'm going to cut that out because I don't want to have to write them. Oops. Hold on a second. There we go. You ever have a word that you can't stand besides moist? Everybody hates the word moist. Why is that? I hate the word snip. All right. So we're going to call that shortcuts 1 through 3. Okay? All right. So there's your shortcuts 1 through 3. And now we're going to do, I'm going to freeze that while y'all are doing that. I had one girl one time, I was asking what you hated worst, and she just dropped the F-bomb. I hate the word. I was like, okay. How about uncouth? And let's do sum and difference. There we go. Let me find both of them. Of course, I can't see it right now. Just give me a minute. There they are. And I'll snip them out. Save. Some difference cubes. Okay, there's your sum of difference of cubes. That's shortcut 4 and shortcut 5. One guy said he hates the word love. I hate to be married to him. I like him. I don't like the word love. I can't stand the word necessary because I can't spell it. Y'all just don't like to talk, do you? Huh? Oh my God, I hate card games, period. Spades. The only reason I like spades is that's all you play in the Marine Corps when you're bored, spades. So I played so much spades over in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait that I can throw down 3 cards and know exactly what everybody has. I get tired playing spades. Yes, sir. Yeah. I'll just pull it over here. There you go. Oops. No, hold on. Let me just do this. White. Okay, there. Give me a second. Actually, I'm trying to impress you. I'm trying to do it. I know, y'all are impressed. And that's without training. I have no training on this thing. None of us have. They just buy stuff and put it in the room and then let it sit and gather dust on it, or you just make yourself learn how to use it. There you go. There's 5 shortcuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in order for you to use the shortcuts, you got to know your perfect cubes and perfect squares. Okay? Now, if I ask you what is the cube root of 8 and you tell me 4, you suck at your perfect cubes. Okay? If I ask you what is the square root of 144 and you say 14, then you suck at your squares. So you need to get a little index card and you need to write your perfect squares up to 15 and you need to write your perfect cubes up to 10. All right? Because you need to know them in order to do the shortcuts. Now, the most well-known gripe about the shortcuts is, oh, I can do the FOIL method just as fast. No, you can't. Not when you learn how to do these. You can do the shortcuts in 1/5 of the time that it takes you to do the reverse FOIL or the FOIL method. Okay? But what happens is students don't want to learn them, so they don't learn them. And if they don't learn them, it takes them twice as long to do them versus the FOIL method. So you're in high school or 101 or 102, and you're being redneck, having redneck disorder on these. And while you're having redneck disorder, you're sucking at it. So naturally, it takes you longer to do the shortcuts than it does to do the what? The FOIL method. Just open your mind and take my word for it. You've got to learn them, and if you don't, then you'll be doing number 10 on the test while everybody else is turning in their tests because you're doing the FOIL method or the reverse FOIL method, and they learned how to do the shortcuts. Now, the shortcuts can only be used for perfect squares, and you got to know your perfect squares. For instance, know your multiplication tables. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, all the way down to 15 squared. Your perfect cubes. 1 cube, 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, 64, 5 cubed, and so on down to 10. You need to know those. And I mean you need to know them quick. For instance, x squared minus 16. Now that is shortcut number what? Well, it doesn't have parentheses, so you can take that one out, you can take that one out. It's not cubes, so which one is it? Shortcut number 3. Y'all know whose fault it is. Whose is it? And the Russians. All right? So it's number 3. So what I tell students to do is write it up under it. Or a squared or x squared or whatever you want to use. Now the thing is, you don't have x and y. What do you have? You have x squared and what? And y squared. So rewrite this, x squared minus 4 squared is equal to, and then what is x? A is x and y is what? Well, y is 4. So 4 squared, b squared. So that's going to give you x plus 4 times what? And something is really happening in this sign when we get to the right side. I guess I need to recalculate. So your answer there is x plus 4, x minus 4. Now you take that same thing with x squared minus 25, x plus 5, x minus 5. X squared minus 144, x plus 12, x minus 12. All right, let's do an error. I'll let you be working on this one while we bring in the stuff that you barely touch with the eraser and it goes away. Let's go with x squared minus or plus 3x. No, plus 6x. This morning when I started it was an eraser. Now it's highlighted. Plus 6x plus 9. Factor that using the shortcuts. Which shortcut is it? Well, find the one that has a trinomial in it. I'm glad the air finally come on. It's kind of getting hot in here. All right. Is it the sum and difference of cubes? No. Why? What tells you that? It's not cubed because it's square. And also look at the makeup of the cubes. Is that just a trinomial or is it a trinomial and a binomial? It's a trinomial and a what? A binomial. Trinomial and a binomial. This is a trinomial. So it's only, the only answer could be number 1 or number 2. You see why you need to be able, there's two things that you have to know in order to do the shortcuts. You've got to know your perfect squares and perfect cubes. But you have to know the shortcuts. If you don't know the shortcuts by heart, you're going to suck at it. Okay? Because you don't know which one's which. And if you try to use a card and you try to do that on a test, you're not going to make it. Because there's going to be too many problems to do. Because you're talking about 35, 33, or 40 problems that I'm going to give you if I was to quiz you on this. Because what is your prime goal working with shortcuts? Is it algebra or is it time? Time. This is kind of like multiplication tables back in the 3rd and 4th grade. Had to know them. If you didn't know them, you got left behind. So, which one is it? Shortcut number 1 or shortcut number 2? Shortcut number 1. Why? Positive. Now, there's little tests that you can check to see if it's shortcut 1 or 2. You take the square root of the first term, you take the square root of the last term, and multiply them by 2. So what is the square root of x squared? X. And what is the square root of 9? And what's 2 times 3 times x? Is that the middle term? And that's how you know it's a shortcut, 1 or 2. So you need to write that down. And if you don't know it, you need to make sure that you write it down. Because there's going to be somebody that's going to think this is a shortcut. And it's not. That's reverse FOIL. It's factorable at all. Because you take the square root of this, you take the square root of that, you get 3x, but you have to what? You have to multiply 3x by what? So that's not doable by the shortcuts. And then you have to go do the reverse FOIL, and you can't do it that way, that's fine. So, erase this. Now that you've checked it, A is equal to X, B is equal to 3. And then plug it in to this right here. So X plus 3, quantity what? And that's how you do shortcuts. Now let's do the one somebody brought in for homework. First of all, let me ask you, some of you 102 people, is this bringing back some cobwebs, knocking some cobwebs loose? Good. Because these are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that you need. And you need to be very good at it to take this class. Okay? Alrighty. Let's go to the problem that we had bringing in. And it's somewhere in here. Ask my instructor. Alright, now you try this one. Or somebody's going to say, I can't see it. And where do they usually sit? In the back of the room. Yep. The people that can't see always sit in the back of the room. $125 x cubed minus 1. All right, somebody tell me which shortcuts it is, or it could be. 4 or what? 4 or 5. It cannot be the first 3 because it's a perfect what? Cube. Now you just gotta know what's the cube root of 125x cubed is. 5x. So, shortcut number 4 says a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Let me ask you this, which one does it look like? Does it look like the left-hand side or the right-hand side, the way that it is right now? It looks like the left-hand side, right? Got 2 terms, so your answer is going to look like what? The right-hand side. So, take the cube root. I'm going to do this in red or green, something different. Take the cube root of this number, take the cube root of that term. So A is equal to 5x. B is equal to what? 1, because the cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 125x cubed is 5x. And now you take A and B and plug in where? On the right side. 5x minus 1. I'm going to put parentheses around it to show you that I'm plugging it in. Parentheses squared plus parentheses times parentheses plus parentheses squared. And 5x goes here. 5x goes here. 1 goes here. And 1 goes here. All right, finish it out. It's supposed to be this. Finish it out. Somebody told me that they didn't go through this in 102. I've heard some horror stories of 102. I used to teach 102. We always taught these in 102, so I don't know what the heck's happened to 102. So I didn't say, huh? You didn't do the cubes, okay. I still heard some horror stories there. So 5x minus 1. And what is this? 25x squared plus 5x plus 1. There you go. And that's how you do them. So let's look at some of your homework on the intermediate algebra review. What time's class over, Mr. Harvell? 12:35?
Yeah.
Mr. Strickland, is that correct? Okay, I gotta get second, make sure nobody's making a mistake. But some of y'all lie to me and say it's over at 11:15 or 12:15. What time? 12:15. 12:15. You're going over by 15 minutes. We'll go over it later. Let's go ahead and quit. You put your books up. Let's look at the homework, though. I want you to look at the homework because if I could ever get there, take our last 5 minutes and look at the homework. Y'all are 110 and pull up the homework, and there should be an orientation, and basically it tells you how to do your homework online. I'm not going to do that, but I think there's an intermediate algebra review. There should be, yeah, there's a few problems on there, and I think you're going to see some shortcuts and reverse FOIL, maybe some exponential laws. There we go. What's the cube root of 8x cubed? 2x. What's the cube root of 1? 1. So that's going to be 2x minus 1, 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. And you're going to see those. You're going to see shortcuts. We'll do domain and range when y'all get back because I do a whole spiel on that. Okay, so I've got y'all basically through whatever number this is, 15. So you should be able to do 1 through 14 in your homework, okay? And be working on those. And when y'all come back, we will work on the second part of the review, which will be domain and range, okay? Y'all have a good day. Glad y'all got to see me.